The University of Birmingham is a public research university located in Edgbaston, Birmingham, United Kingdom. It received its royal charter in 1900 as a successor to Queen's College, Birmingham and Mason Science College, making it the first English civic or red brick university to receive its own royal charter. It is a founding member of both the Russell Group of British Research Universities and the International Network of Research Universities, Universitas 21. The university was ranked 15th in the UK and 76th in the world in the QS World University Rankings for 2015-16. In 2013, Birmingham was named University of the Year 2014 in the Times Higher Education Awards. The 2015 Global Employability University Ranking places Birmingham at 80th worldwide and 12th in the UK. Birmingham is also ranked 4th in the UK for graduate prospects in the Times and the Sunday Times Good University Guide 2015. The student population includes 20,100 undergraduate and 14,060 postgraduate students, which is the fourth largest in the UK. The annual income of the institution for 2014-15 was £577.1 million, of which £126.4 million was from research grants and contracts, with an expenditure of £531.8 million. The university is home to the Barber Institute of Fine Arts, housing works by Van Gogh, Picasso and Monet, the Lapworth Museum of Geology, the Cadbury Research Library home to the Mingana collections of Middle Eastern manuscripts and the Chamberlain collection, and the Joseph Chamberlain Memorial Clock Tower, which is a prominent landmark visible from many parts of the city. Academics and alumni of the university include former British Prime Ministers Neville Chamberlain and Stanley Baldwin, the British composer Sir Edward Elgar and 8 Nobel laureates. History. Queen's College. Although the earliest beginnings of the university were previously traced back to the Queen's College, which is linked to William Sands Cox in his aim of creating a medical school along strictly Christian lines, unlike the London medical schools. Further research has now revealed the roots of the Birmingham Medical School in the medical education seminars of Mr. John Tomlinson, the first surgeon to the Birmingham Workhouse Infirmary, and later to the General Hospital. These classes were the first ever held outside London, south of the Scottish border, in the winter of 1767–68. The first clinical teaching was undertaken by medical and surgical apprentices at the General Hospital, opened in 1779. The medical school, which grew out of the Birmingham Workhouse Infirmary, was founded in 1828, but Cox began teaching in December 1825. Queen Victoria granted her patronage to the clinical hospital in Birmingham and allowed it to be styled the Queen's Hospital. It was the first provincial teaching hospital in England. In 1843, the medical college became known as Queen's College. Mason Science College. In 1870, Sir Josiah Mason, the Birmingham industrialist and philanthropist, who made his fortune in making key rings, pens, pen nibs and electroplating, drew up the foundation deed for Mason Science College. The college was founded in 1875. It was this institution that would eventually form the nucleus of the University of Birmingham. In 1882, the departments of chemistry, botany and physiology were transferred to Mason Science College, soon followed by the departments of physics and comparative anatomy. The transfer of the medical school to Mason Science College gave considerable impetus to the growing importance of that college, and in 1896 a move to incorporate it as a university college was made. As the result of the Mason University College Act 1897, it became incorporated as Mason University College on 1 January 1898. with Joseph Chamberlain becoming the president of its Court of Governors. Royal Charter. It was largely due to Chamberlain's enthusiasm that the university was granted a royal charter by Queen Victoria on 24 March 1900. The Calthorpe family offered 25 acres of land on the Bourne-Brick side of their estate in July. The Court of Governors received the Birmingham University Act 1900, which put the Royal Charter into effect on 31 May. Birmingham was therefore arguably the first so-called red brick university, although several other universities claimed this title. The transfer of Mason University College to the new University of Birmingham, with Chamberlain as its first chancellor and Sir Oliver Lodge as the first principal, was complete. All that remained of Josiah Mason's legacy was his mermaid in the sinister chief of the university shield and of his college, the double-headed lion in the dexter. It became the first civic and campus university in England. The University Charter of 1900 also included provision for a commerce faculty, as was appropriate for a university itself founded by industrialists and based in a city with an enormous business well, in effect creating the first business school in England. Consequently, the faculty, the first of its kind in Britain, was founded by Sir William Ashley in 1901, who from 1902 until 1923 served as first professor of commerce and dean of the faculty. From 1905 to 1908, Edward Elgar held the position of Peyton Professor of Music at the university. He was succeeded by his friend Granville Bantock. The university's own heritage archives are accessible for research through the university's Cadbury Research Library, which is open to all interested researchers. The Great Hall in the Aston Webb building was converted into the first Southern General Hospital during World War I, with 520 beds and treated 125,000 injured servicemen. Expansion in 1939, the Barber Institute of Fine Arts, designed by Robert Atkinson, was opened. In 1956, the first MSc program in geotechnical engineering commenced under the title of Foundation Engineering, and has been run annually at the university since. It was the first geotechnical postgraduate school in England. The UK's longest-running MSc program in physics and technology of nuclear reactors also started at the university in 1956, the same year that the world's first commercial nuclear power station was opened at Calder Hall in Cumbria. In 1957, Sir Hugh Casson and Neville Conder were asked by the university to prepare a master plan on the site of the original 1900 buildings, which were incomplete. The university drafted in other architects to amend the master plan produced by the group. During the 1960s, the university constructed numerous large buildings, expanding the campus. In 1963, the university helped in the establishment of the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Rhodesia, now the University of Zimbabwe. UZ is now independent, but both institutions maintain relations through student exchange programs. Birmingham also supported the creation of Keele University and the University of Warwick under the vice-chancellorship of Sir Robert Aitken, who acted as godfather to the University of Warwick. The initial plan was to establish a satellite university college in Coventry, but Aitken advised an independent initiative to the University Grants Committee. Malcolm X, the Afro-American human rights activist, addressed the University Debating Society in 1965. Scientific discoveries and inventions. The university has been involved in many scientific breakthroughs and inventions. From 1925 until 1948, Sir Norman Howarth was professor and director of the Department of Chemistry. He was appointed Dean of the Faculty of Science and acted as Vice Principal from 1947 until 1948. His research focused predominantly on carbohydrate chemistry, in which he confirmed a number of structures of optically active sugars. By 1928, he had deduced and confirmed the structures of maltose, cellobiose, lactose, gentiobiose, melobiose, gentianose, raffinose, as well as the glucoside ring tautomeric structure of aldose sugars. His research helped to define the basic features of the starch, cellulose, glycogen, anulin and xylin molecules. He also contributed towards solving the problems with bacterial polysaccharides. He was a recipient of the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1937. The cavity magnetron was developed in the Department of Physics by Sir John Randall, Harry Boot and James Sayers. This was vital to the Allied victory in World War II. In 1940, the Frisch-Peierls Memorandum, a document which demonstrated that the atomic bomb was more than simply theoretically possible, was written in the physics department by Sir Rudolf Peierls and Otto Frisch. The university also hosted early work on gaseous diffusion in the chemistry department when it was located in the Hills building. Many windows in the Aston Webb building overlooking the former fume cupboards were opaque from being attacked by hydrofluoric acid well into recent years. Physicist Sir Mark Oliphant made a proposal for the construction of a proton synchrotron in 1943. However, he made no assertion that the machine would work. In 1945, phase stability was discovered. Consequently, the proposal was revived, and construction of a machine that could surpass 1 GeV began at the university. However, because of lack of funds, the machine did not start until 1953. The Brookhaven National Laboratory managed to beat them. They started the Cosmotron in 1952, and get it entirely working in 1953, before the University of Birmingham. In 1947, Sir Peter Medawar was appointed Mason Professor of Zoology at the university. His work involved investigating the phenomenon of tolerance and transplantation immunity. He collaborated with Rupert E. Billingham, and they did research on problems of pigmentation and skin grafting in cattle. They utilized skin grafting to differentiate between monozygotic and dizygotic twins in cattle. Taking the earlier research of R.D. Owen into consideration, they concluded that actively acquired tolerance of homografts could be artificially reproduced. For this research, Medawar was elected a Fellow of the Royal Society. He left Birmingham in 1951 and joined the faculty at University College London, where he continued his research on transplantation immunity. He was a recipient of the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine in 1960. Recent history: the final round of the first ever televised leaders' debates, hosted by the BBC, was held at the university during the 2010 British general election campaign on the 29th of April 2010. It also acted as a training camp for the Jamaican track and field team prior to the 2012 London Olympics. On the 9th of August 2010, the university announced that for the first time it would not enter the UCAS clearing process for 2010 admission, which matches undersubscribed courses to students who did not meet the firm or insurance choices, due to all places being taken. Largely a result of the financial crisis of 2007 to 2010, Birmingham joined fellow Russell Group universities including Oxford, Cambridge, Edinburgh and Bristol in not offering any clearing places. In 2012, the university announced plans to build a new sports centre and library. Controversies: the discipline of cultural studies was founded at the university, and between 1991 and 2002 the campus was home to the Centre for Contemporary Cultural Studies, a leading research centre whose members' work came to be known as the Birmingham School of Cultural Studies. Despite being established by one of the key figures in the field, Richard Hoggett, and being later directed by the renowned theorist Stuart Hall, fall, the department was controversially closed down. Analysis showed that the university was fourth in a list of British universities that faced the most employment tribunal claims between 2008 and 2011. They were the second most likely to settle these before the hearing date. In 2011, a parliamentary early day motion was proposed arguing against the Guild suspending the elected sabbatical vice president, who was arrested while taking part in protest activity. In December 2011, it was announced that the university had obtained a 12-month-long injunction against a group of around 25 students, who occupied a residential building on campus from 23 to the 26th of November 2011, preventing them from engaging in further occupational protest action on the university's grounds without prior permission. It was misreported in the press that this injunction applied to all students. However, the court order defines the defendants as persons unknown entering or remaining upon the buildings known as No. 2 Lodge Pritchard's Road, Birmingham. At the University of Birmingham for the purpose of protest action, the university and the Guild of Students also clarified the scope of the injunction in an email sent to all students on the 11th of January 2012, stating the injunction applies only to those individuals who occupied the lodge. The university said that it sought this injunction as a safety precaution based on a previous occupation. Three separate human rights groups, including Amnesty International, condemned the move as restrictive on human rights. Campuses. Edgbaston campus. Original buildings. The main campus of the university occupies a site some 3 miles southwest of Birmingham city centre, in Edgbaston. It is arranged around Joseph Chamberlain Memorial Clock Tower, a grand campanile which commemorates the university's first chancellor, Joseph Chamberlain. Chamberlain may be considered the founder of Birmingham University, and was largely responsible for the university gaining its royal charter in 1900 and for the development of the Edgbaston campus. The university's Great Hall is located in the domed Aston Webb building, which is named after one of the architects. The other was Ingress Bell. The initial 25-acre site was given to the university in 1900 by Lord Calthorpe. The grand buildings were an outcome of the £50,000 given by steel magnate and philanthropist Andrew Carnegie to establish a first-class modern scientific college on the model of Cornell University in the United States. Funding was also provided by Sir Charles Holcroft. The original domed buildings, built in Accrington red brick semicircle to form Chancellor's Court. This sits on a 30-foot drop, so the architects placed their buildings on 2 tiers with a 16-foot drop between them. The clock tower stands in the center of the court. The campanile itself draws its inspiration from the Tour del Mangio, a medieval clock tower that forms part of the town hall in Siena, Italy. When it was built, it was described as the intellectual beacon of the Midlands by the Birmingham Post. The clock tower was Birmingham's tallest building from the date of its construction in 1908 until 1969. It is now the third highest in the city. It is one of the top 50 tallest buildings in the UK, and the tallest freestanding clock tower in the world, although there is some confusion about its actual height, with the university listing it both as 110 meters and 325 feet tall in different sources. The campus has a wide diversity in architectural types and architects. What makes Birmingham so exceptional among the red brick universities is the deployment of so many other major modernist practices. Only Oxford and Cambridge boast greater selections. The Guild of Students' original section was designed by Birmingham interwar architect Holland Hobbes, who also designed the King Edward's School. Opposite, it was described as red brick Tudorish by Nicolaus Pevsner. The statue on horseback fronting the entrance to the University and Barber Institute of Fine Arts is a 1722 statue of George I, rescued from Dublin in 1937. This was saved by Bodkin, a director of the National Gallery of Ireland and first director of the Barber Institute. The statue was commissioned by the Dublin Corporation from the Flemish sculptor John van Nost. Final negotiations for part of what is now the Vale were only completed in March 1947. By then, properties which would have the names used for halls of residences such as Widdrington and Maplebank were under discussion, and more land was obtained from the Calthorpe estate in 1948 and 1949, providing the setting for the Vale. Construction on the Vale started in 1962 with the creation of a 3-acre artificial lake and the building of Ridge High, Widdrington and Lake Halls. The first Ridge Hall opened for 139 women in January 1964, with its counterpart High Hall admitting its first male residents the following October. 1960s and modern expansion. The university underwent a major expansion in the 1960s due to the production of a master plan by Casson, Conda and Partners, the first of the major buildings to be constructed to a design by the firm was the refectory and staff house, which was built in 1961 and 1962. The two buildings are connected by a bridge. The next major buildings to be constructed were the Widdrington and Lake Halls and the Faculty of Commerce and Social Science, all completed in 1965. The Widdrington and Lake Halls, on Edgbaston Park Road, were designed by H. T. Cadbury Brown and contained 3 floors of student dwellings above a single floor of communal facilities. The Faculty of Commerce and Social Science, now known as the Ashley Building, was designed by Howell, Killick, Partridge and Amos and is a long, curving 2-story block linked to a 5-story whirl. The 2-story block follows the curve of the road, and has load-bearing brick cross walls. It is faced in specially made concrete blocks. The spiral is faced with faceted, precast concrete cladding panels. It was statutorily listed in 1993 and a refurbishment by Berman Gwade Stretton was completed in 2006. Chamberlain, Powell and Bond were commissioned to design the Physical Education Centre, which was built in 1966. The main characteristic of the building is the roof of the changing rooms and small gymnasium, which has hyperbolic paraboloid roof light shells and is completely paved in quarry tiles. The roof of the sports hall consists of 8 conoidal 2.5-inch thick sprayed concrete shells springing from 80-foot-long pre-stressed valley beams. On the south elevation, the roof is supported on raking precast columns and reversed shells form a cantilevered canopy. Also completed in 1966 was the Mining and Minerals Engineering and Physical Metallurgy departments, which was designed by Philip Dowson of Arup Associates. This complex consisted of 4 similar 3-story blocks linked at the corners. The frame is of precast reinforced concrete with columns in groups of 4 and the whole is planned as a tartan grid, allowing services to be carried vertically and horizontally so that at no point in a room are services more than 10 feet away. The building received the 1966 RIBA Architecture Award for the West Midlands. It was statutorily listed in 1993, taking the full 5 years from 1962 to 1967. Birmingham erected 12 buildings which each cost in excess of £250,000. In 1967, Lucas House, a new hall of residence designed by the John Maiden Design Group, was completed, providing 150 study bedrooms. It was constructed in the garden of a large house. The medical school was extended in 1967 to a design by Leonard J. Moulton and Partners. The two-story building was part of a complex which covers the south side of Metchley Fort, a Roman fort. In 1968, the Institute for Education in the Department for Education was opened. This was another Casson, Conda and Partners designed building. The complex consisted of a group of buildings centered around an 8-story block, containing study offices, laboratories and teaching rooms. The building has a reinforced concrete frame which is exposed internally, and the external walls are of silver-gray rustic bricks. The roofs of the lecture halls, penthouse and child study wing are covered in copper. Arup Associates returned in the 1960s to design the Arts and Commerce Building, better known as Muirhead Tower, and houses the Institute of Local Government Studies. This was completed in 1969. A £42 million refurbishment of the 16-story tower was completed in 2009, and it now houses the Colleges of Social Sciences and the Cadbury Research Library, the new home for the university's special collections. The podium was remodeled around the existing Allardyce Nichols Studio Theatre, providing additional rehearsal spaces and changing and technical facilities. The ground floor lobby now incorporates a Starbucks coffee shop. The name Muirhead Tower came from that of the first philosophy professor of the university, John Henry Muirhead. Recently completed is a 450-seat concert hall, called the Bramall Music Building, which completes the red brick semicircle of the Aston Webb building designed by Glenn Howells Architects, with venue designed by Acoustic Dimensions. This auditorium, with its associated research, teaching and rehearsal facilities, houses the Department of Music. In August 2011, the university announced that architects Lifshutz, Davidson, Sandilands and S&P were appointed to develop a new indoor sports centre as part of a £175 million investment in the campus. Other features: in 1978, University Station, on the Cross-City Line, was opened to serve the university and its hospital. It is the only university campus in mainland Britain with its own railway station. Located within the Edgbaston site of the university is the Winterbourne Botanic Garden, a 24,000-square-metre Edwardian arts and crafts-style garden. A large statue in the foreground was a gift to the university by its sculptor Sir Edward Pelosi. The sculpture is named Faraday, and has an excerpt from the poem The Dry Salvages by T.S. Eliot around its base. The University of Birmingham operates the Lapworth Museum of Geology in the Aston Webb building in Edgbaston. It is named after Charles Lapworth, a geologist who worked at Mason Science College. Since November 2007, the university has been holding a farmers' market on the campus. Birmingham is the first university in the country to have an accredited farmers' market. The considerable extent of the estate meant that by the end of the 1990s it was valued at £536 million. Selly Oak Campus. The university's Selly Oak campus is a short distance to the south of the main campus. It was the home of a federation of 9 colleges, known as Selly Oak Colleges, mainly focused on theology, social work, and teacher training. The federation was for many years associated with the University of Birmingham. A new library, the Orchard Learning Resource Centre, was opened in 2001, shortly before the federation ceased to exist. The OLRC is now one of Birmingham University's site libraries. Among the Selly Oak colleges was Westhill College, which merged with the university's School of Education in 2001. In the following years most of the remaining colleges closed, leaving two colleges which continue today: Woodbridge College, a study and conference centre from the Society of Friends, and Faircroft College, a small adult education college with residential provision. Woodbridge College's Centre for Postgraduate Quaker Studies, established in 1998, works with the University of Birmingham to deliver research supervision for the degrees of MA by Research and PhD. The Selly Oak campus is now home to the Department of Drama Theatre Arts in the newly refurbished Selly Oak College's old library and George Cadbury Hall 200-seat theatre. The UK daytime television show Doctors is filmed on this campus. The University of Birmingham School will occupy a brand new, purpose-built building located on the university's Selly Oak campus. The University of Birmingham School is sponsored by the University of Birmingham and managed by an academy trust. The University of Birmingham School was scheduled to open in September 2015. Mason College campus. The Victorian neo-Gothic Mason College building in Birmingham city centre housed Birmingham University's faculties of Arts and Law for over 50 years after the founding of the university in 1900. The Faculty of Arts building on the Edgbaston campus was not constructed until 1959–61. The faculties of Arts and Law then moved to the Edgbaston campus. The original Mason College building was demolished in 1962 as part of the redevelopment within the Inner Ring Road.